questions on buying houses. So ask questions about home loans. Ask questions about what interest rates are, what they're going to be, what the predictions are coming from the Fed, what programs are available. Down payment assistance. Can you get in for zero down? Is VA really zero down? Is USDA really zero down? So I know you guys have all these thoughts. I know you guys have all these questions. So please load up the chat box and we'll get you an answer to every single one of those.
Every single one?
Every single one of them, man. We're going to get to every single question. We're going to call people out. We're going to ask them to hard up this if they like it. We're going to do all kinds of stuff today.
All right. That sounds like a fun.
It sounds like a fun?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a fun. You guys want to have a fun?
Making fun of my accent?
Yes.
Already. Sounds like a fun.
Todd, what do you think about Rocket Mortgage? So I'll give my piece and then I'll let Lee answer because they're going to be different, a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So Rocket Mortgage, I think if you're a perfect scenario, if you have W-2 straight income that's verified via the work number, which means you don't have to fill out any documentation, it just comes right in. If you have the right accounts, where the data is able to be pulled in from your checking and your savings and your investments, because we have these auto systems where we can actually just pull the data in. So if you're a clean file with great credit, no challenges, no lates, no bankruptcies, no foreclosures, never lived a life, just have the perfect file, then Rocket Mortgage is going to be very easy. But if you run into one of those challenges, I think it's going to be very difficult and you'll be calling us soon. What do you think?
Rocket Mortgage is not bad. So here's the thing that you need to understand. We all get our money from the same spot. We get it from FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, because they're conventional loans. FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, USDA. Those are all pretty straightforward. Now, if you do have a perfect file and you're an 800 FICO score and you're putting 20% down and you've been at your W-2 job with no overtime for the last 2 years, Rocket's probably better than most places. It probably is. Because they don't pay the loan officers, the underwriters. They pay them all very minimal because they cut it out in order to get a little bit better rate. And they do. They can. The minute you have a hiccup, Rocket Mortgage is not a good spot for you. It is not a good spot. So if you have overtime that you have to calculate, it's not always so straightforward. If you've got a 30-day or a 45-day escrow that's going to be a contingent close, it's really, really difficult. So Rocket is okay, but I think that's the case for most banks because when you're borrowing money, it's FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. This whole, hey, well, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, it boils down to a little bit of cost one way or the other. What's better, a Ford or a Chevy? I don't know.
Ford.
Ford, Chevy, Toyota. What's better, Toyota or Nissan or Honda? Toyota or Honda?
Honda.
Toyota. See, they're about the same. And if you go class for class, in other words, FHA for FHA, Fannie Mae for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac for Freddie Mac, USDA, there's a little bit of difference, but they usually offset in one or another because it's a market. It's a competitive market. Now, I don't recommend most people go to Rocket because most people don't have perfect lives. It's very difficult.
Yeah, here's another piece, guys. So when you're putting an offer on a house, we're all about getting offers accepted. So we go above and beyond. We talk to listing agents. We talk to whomever we need to let them know the strength of the file. So if Todd, you did a loan with us, I would call the listing agent that you put an offer on the house and say, Todd is a fantastic buyer. He has great credit. His ratios are here. His LTV is this. It's going to close. So we go the extra mile. Now, when a listing agent sees Bank of America,
That's the file.
Wells Fargo, Rocket Mortgage, or any lender that's known for giving problems, you might get pushed to the side. Mm-hmm. We work for New American Funding, which is a national mortgage company, not a small broker on the corner of your neighborhood, a national mortgage company. So when they see New American Funding, and then if they know our branding, they say Chris and Lee, the opportunity to get your offer accepted skyrockets. So my opinion, I get this data from listing agents, so I hope that helps. Revelation incoming 2. What's too much money to have in your account?
There's no such thing.
I was going to say, is there a such thing?
There's no such thing. What you're probably referring to is, hey, if I'm going to negotiate and the price is $500,000 and I'm going to tell them I can only afford $490, but once they see my bank account, there's that. It's a market. It's a market.
Yeah.
So there's not too much you can have in a bank account.
Now, if you're talking about for like tough times or maybe run on the banks, keep some cash. Don't keep it at your house because everyone will know. But keep some cash, and if you have enough money, keep about 10 grand because you're going to need to be able to buy food and get by if you can't access funds in your account. That being said, never too much money in your account. TikTok Lion, I love that name. Can I use a 401k to buy investment properties? Well, here's the answer, TikTok Lion. 401k is an account that has money in it. A savings account is an account that has money in it. An investment property is an investment. A 401k is an investment instrument. So all you're going to do is move your investment money from your 401k to your home, which is an investment property, an opportunity to make money on the equity and have a stream of income. Sorry, the answer is yes.
Well, maybe. Because he's correct, but I think what you're also asking inside of that question is penalty-free and not necessarily tax-free, but penalty-free because most TOWs, terms of withdrawals, allow for you to buy your primary residence, primary, not your investment. You said investment. That doesn't mean you can't take your money out. He's right. You can take your money out. But they're going to slap you on the way out. They're going to slap you hard.
Is that a guarantee?
Yeah.
Is that a guarantee?
That's a slap you hard on the way out.
That is not a guarantee. So what does he need to do?
Call us.
He needs to access his terms of withdrawal. Where you can access your funds, the penalty-free. What are the penalties going to be if there are penalties? And there's a number of things you need to cover. So talk to your 401k company, talk to your CPA, and then figure that out. But can the funds be used? Yes.
Yep.
Richard McPherson 6. I've had Rocket for years.
Yeah, Rocket. Well, you're talking Rocket as a servicer then. Rocket as a servicer, yeah, okay. They're all servicing. They're just when you put together a loan, there's the front end and the back end. The front end is where we work. It's the loan origination, underwriting, making sure you qualify. Boom, you got there. And then there's the back end of the loan, which is called the servicing rights. You have to pay somebody to service that. And some banks service their own loans. Like, for instance, New American Funding service their own loans. Brokers, by definition, are not a bank, so they sell them off to a large servicer like Mr. Cooper is probably the biggest out there. And they service that. Now, Rocket may keep their own mortgage, keep their own paper. And if they do, then they're your servicer and they're your originator. Like I said, I got nothing really bad about Rocket, not as overall. I mean, you can get personal and go, hey, listen, the loan officer doesn't call me back, which is probably true. When it goes to offer, when you go to offer, listing agents don't want to see Rocket Mortgage. They really don't, because they know a lot of them will fall apart. They don't. So from that perspective, it's not good. But if you already have it and they're your servicer, yeah, what's wrong with that? I mean,
don't change it.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
Anthony K, I moved into my house 3 years ago, and now I want to move into a different area. I'm glad you bring that up, Anthony K, because it's clear that when you bought your house 3 years ago, it was not your dream home. It was not the ideal area, or for whatever reason. But what you did is you got in during a good time, and I'm going to assume you have a ton of equity, and you want to take that equity and move to another spot. So what do you say about that, Lee?
Good idea.
I think it's a great idea. I think more people need to take advantage of this, and the opportunity stands today. Because what happened in 2020 and 2021 is rates went down and values went up. And Anthony was a part of that. So he made some cash that he can use to change his life around. So don't look for your dream home if it's your first home.
Yeah.
Look for something that makes sense. Live in it for a year, maybe 3 years, and then make better moves. Or not better moves, but make the moves that make you more happy.
And pay attention to that credit score, Anthony K, because I have to turn down so many files. I had to turn one down right before we walked in because I pulled credit on it and it's 518 FICO, 518. Now, can that be done? Maybe with 10% down or more, but the next thing is we have to look at what's causing the 518, and there was probably 8 or 10 active collections. If you go to a bank and say, hey, lend me $500,000, I'll pay you back, honestly. And then they pull back and they say, hey, everybody else that you said that to, you're defaulting on right now. The bank's not going to let you. It's just logic. It's just math. So pay attention to that FICO, Anthony K.
Ash 1922, do you have to have house insurance on the loan, or can you have insurance separately? So I think she's talking about homeowners insurance, fire insurance.
So what you're talking about is hazard insurance. Hazard insurance is if something happens to the house, it has to be rebuilt to the back to the right area. And I think more importantly, you're talking about impounding it. So Most loans will impound the property taxes and insurance. Most loans, by default, we impound them because there are some loans where you can say, I'll pay for it on my own, and you can. However, it's a risk to the bank because you may not pay it. If you don't pay property taxes have a superior lien to the mortgage. Automatically, if you missed one property tax payment, it goes superior to the mortgage. So the banks don't want that. But they also say, hey, if you want to and you can keep up with it, we'll let you. But the interest rate's worse. If you say, hey, I don't want to impound my property taxes, the pricing matrix changes because they have to mitigate the risk of you maybe not paying your property taxes. And maybe you will. I tried it one time. I've financed a lot of houses. I tried it one time. I will never do it again. I impound every time.
Ever?
Ever.
All right, smart. Good advice. All right, guys, we're going to get to every single one of your questions. Make sure you load them up. We're going to answer them. We're going to call you out, and hopefully this helps you. Mirari, what credit score is needed for a conventional loan?
Very good question. 620 or better. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, 620 or better. FHA, 580 or better. VA, doesn't matter. You can have 0 credit score and still move forward.
$11,000 for a closing cost on a $100,000 loan. Is that $100,000 or $1 million? Get real. I think it's $100,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Yeah. So
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
Well, here's probably what's happening.
$11,000 for closing costs on a $100,000 loan.
So here's what probably happened: is closing costs are probably going to run you around $6,000 to $8,000 on a loan that size. Okay, yeah. Around that. But
$100,000 loan.
If you have crap credit, okay, if you have crap credit,
you got to buy your rate down.
You have a rate that comes with a cost, and that cost is not cheap, guys. The banks are making it very tough to lend. So that's part of your closing costs. But those aren't the closing costs. Those are your credit score. So your credit score is causing those fees to go up. And those aren't even the closing cost fees. Closing cost fees are title, escrow, the notary, the appraiser. It's a group. And then you have other stuff on top of that, like taxes, insurance, and maybe points. So that's what it sounds like.
User 2248, you're also going to run into HPM. HPM is when the fees get too much for the loan and it crosses a certain percentage threshold, it becomes a high price mortgage and it turns into a whole different type of mortgage. So credit score, it's always credit score. If you care about your credit, then that helps you a whole lot when it goes to buy a house. A whole lot.
Yeah. Ash 1922 told Mirari 620. Looks like Ash is the loan officer. Thank you for joining.
What's up, Ash?
Alfredo Garcia, can you guys give me a loan for another home? You guys are rich anyway. LOL.
Sure, let's give you another loan. You know what? Let's do it, Alfredo. Bring it on down. We'll get you a loan.
User 22 again. Stay away from them. They represent New American.
All right. User 2248, we love you.
We love you. Fund loans for New American, but we represent Chris and Elite.
Yeah.
Elite Gods. What score do you need for a DPA?
Elite Gods. That's usually across the country 660 or 680. Usually 660 or 680. However, New American Funding, very big company, they said, hey, we made profit this year. What are we going to do with this $100 million worth of profit? You know what we're going to do? What? We're going to create our own program that only is available to New American Funding loan officers. And we'll go down to 600 FICO nationwide on this down payment assistance program. So I've never seen 600. This one came out about 2 months ago. I don't know how long it's going to last till we run out of that 100 million. I don't know how much it is. Not really 100 million. Yep. But we have a down payment assistance program at 600 FICO. Crazy.
Love it. Peachy, I know credit is a big factor, but how much FHA loan do you estimate I can get with $70,000 a year? Peachy.
330, 330-ish, somewhere in that range. 340, 350 maybe, actually. 350 depending on your tax base and your hazard insurance.
That's 5 times your income. That's badass. Yeah. Creations Clause 8. Thank you for coming back. My husband went through Rocket Mortgage. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, that's the situation. And the hard part is at Rocket, you don't have one guy you can call. It's a system. And systems are okay. It's kind of like, how do you like dealing with customer service that's just a computer? It works. Yeah, kind of. Sometimes you can get your thing resolved. Frustrating as hell. As a loan officer, half my job is therapist and teacher. So I have to teach people, here's why this is important. Here's why your old scores count. Here's why we need to have money in the bank. Here's why we care about this. Oh, here's why HOA reduces your buying power. Yeah, shocker. Yeah, when I explain it to people, it makes sense. But if you're trying to get a system to explain it to you, it's difficult. Yeah. So, yeah.
So here's something I want to share with you guys. So we've had a lot of success stories with challenges on files. One that makes me do this every now and again when you talk about it. You know the VA one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Makes me do this. But these challenges won't be solved going that route. When I'm talking about Rocket Mortgage, you need a real life person that cares, that has success in doing this, and is willing to put in the time and effort and energy in order to make that happen. Because if you have a challenging file, it's work. It's not easy. It's not just check this box, check this box. It takes a lot of brain power. We bounce stuff off each other to make things happen. I want some Powerade. What are some pros and cons when trying to purchase a new build?
Okay, so there's one big pro, a giant pro. It's amazing pro. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Nobody's ever lived in that house. There's no character. You get to build the character. It's all yours. You're the first to move in. You're the first to use the water faucet, the toilet, whatever you want to do. You're the first. You're the first.
Dirt in the carpet.
Well, maybe the construction guys that were building it, but you're probably the dude. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. So now the cons. There's a lot of cons. That's the pro. The cons. There's a lot. Not a little bit.
Be a baller.
A lot. So if you're willing to take the cons, then it's probably a good idea. But the cons are not small, and they're not something that you'll feel in one moment. You're going to feel them for 2 to 3 years. 10 years. You're going to feel them for 10 years. And here's what they are. Here's the cons. And the cons are they don't build your backyard. And they'll sell it to you as, hey, you get to choose your backyard any way you want to. Yay! But what they won't tell you is that you're a member of HOA that's going to mandate you have to do it within 6 months of moving in. And you're like, wait a minute. Pouring concrete costs $30,000. Grass costs $5,000. Oh my God, this is $35,000 that I didn't plan for. Okay, cool. Hey, I need a sprinkler system installed. Oh, that's $5,000. Oh my God, this is a lot. And when you're done, it's your yard, but it costs you a lot of money that you didn't know about. There's another thing out there, and it's property tax base. Because when they built that beautiful park for your new build and the beautiful pool and that huge area that's wonderful for your kids to play in, yeah, it's awesome. But it cost them, call $1 million. It cost them $1 million to build that thing. And they should have, my opinion, they should have put it in the price of the house, but they didn't. They asked for a bond that had to be voted on by all residents. But during that time, there was only one resident, the builder. So he voted yes. So they put a bond on there that will be paid off in 10 years. And in 10 years, you will be able to stop paying $500 extra a month because your property tax base is so high. So there are pros. The pros are you get a brand new house, beautiful. Nobody's ever lived in it. Nobody's ever used the toilet except that construction guy. Yeah. And the cons are there's a lot of cons. So would I recommend it? It depends on where you live. It's a lot about where you live. But if you're just going heads up, I tell most people you're better off with the SFR. That's already established. It's already been there. You know what the tax base is. They've already paid for the parks. All the problems have been worked out. Oh yeah, there's a lot of problems that happen with the new build. A lot of problems that happened with the new build. They didn't know these were going to be problems because they just built all these things. And then you find the problems.
All right, guys, we're here to help everyone. So make sure you load up that chat box. We'll answer every single one of your questions. Elite Gods. What's the average payment on a $120,000 house with FHA? I'm going to guess $1,000, $1,100 in that range?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. I'd say $1,100, $1,200.
And that's PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and your mortgage insurance.
Yeah, but it's going to depend a lot on your FICO score. It's going to depend on your property tax base and your homeowner's insurance. Like right now in California, we've got a homeowner's insurance problem. Not it's like a big problem. Like big problem. So it's adding a lot to costs. But if you are in Tennessee or Mississippi or Arkansas, you don't have that same problem.
Elite Gods again. Wait! So you can't have any collection account?
Not correct, Elite Gods. You can have a little bit. And it's reasonable. There's a $2,000 line. $2,000 line. If it's less than an aggregate amount of collections of $2,000, we can go, we'll ignore that. We can ignore $2,000 or less. So if you have like $400, $500 collection, we go, all right, is there any more? No, cool, we can ignore that. But if it goes above 200 or 2,000, if it goes above 2,000, we have to start adding these formulas. We have to go, okay, cool. We need to add up the aggregate amount, multiply times 5%, and hit you at a monthly debt for 5%. That's one way to do it. There are many ways to do it. There's some that, like medical, sometimes I can just go, oh, medical, original collector, medical. I'm just going to ignore it. It will be factored into your FICO score, but I can ignore the collection. So if you have like $1 million in medical collections and that's it, I can probably ignore everything, probably. But if you just have credit card collections for $2,300, I can't ignore any of it. I have to factor all of it in. So every file is unique, and this is where a real life loan officer like Lee 944-254 and Chris
1066958.
We'll be able to sit down and walk it through with you and give you the logic on everything.
And just so you guys know, a little bit of information, if you've ever been to the ER, they charge for everything, and your insurance company will miss something. You probably have a medical collection. You probably do, so look into that. Maddie, is this my second favorite Maddie or third favorite Maddie? It is cheaper to buy land and a manufactured home?
Is it cheaper to buy land and a manufactured home? So, Maddie, sometimes a lot of people want to go that route because it seems cheaper because it's like kind of not a real house, but it's a house, but it's not a real house, but it's a house. And then land, well, there's nothing there, so it's cheap. It's not easy. So there's actually ways that we deal with this in the guidelines. And the manufactured home has to be affixed to the land, and you have to own both. You can't rent the land, you can't lease the land, you have to own the land and the manufactured, and there has to be affixed to the land by a 433 and engineering cert, some other things. But if you do that, then the guidelines allow for us to finance that house. It is different pricing. The pricing is a little higher, meaning your interest rate is higher. A lot of people, when they go after a manufactured home on a permanent foundation and I run stick builts, they usually flip to stick builts once they really know what they're dealing with. That's SFR. They're usually go to that once they know the full overall scenario on both things.
All right. Connor, this is for you, brother. Time for a commercial.
If you need a badass loan, call a badass loan officer. You can reach your badass loan officers, Chris and Lee at New American Funding, by dialing the numbers on the screen. Don't dial it right now because we won't answer. Our phones are active, going live. But after we're done, you can call us and we will help you. That's it.
Booyah. Fredo Garcia's laughing, man. You made him laugh.
I appreciate you, Fredo Garcia.
Celso Luna in the house.
Celso Luna, I know that name. He says these guys are the best. You know what?
Man. Thank you.
I think you're right. I think these guys are the best. We appreciate you, Celso.
Who, these guys?
Yeah, these guys.
GRCA, does a discharge Chapter 13 over 3 years ago mean a higher down payment if FICO is 670?
GRCA, probably not. That Chapter 13 over 3 years ago. Now, here's the catch. So, discharged is a very big, important thing. And it's most important on a Chapter 7. Because on a Chapter 7, the discharge date starts a clock. On a Chapter 13, it's different. So the differences between a Chapter 7 bankruptcy and a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, Chapter 7 is, screw it, I don't want to do this anymore. Mr. United States, take the debt. I don't want to do this. I know I got myself in trouble. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to pay anything. I'm walking away. That's the worst. From a lending perspective, that means at some point you could do it again. So Chapter 7 is some pretty stringent guidelines. If you, from the discharge date, not file date, discharge date. The best case scenario I can get you a loan on a Chapter 7 is 2 years. That's the best case scenario. Occasionally 1 year, but it's really, really rare. But 2 years, mostly 4 years, and sometimes 7 years. If you had a foreclosure inside of that. So Chapter 13 is different. Chapter 13, you said, all right, listen, Mr. Your Honor, Judge, United States, I got myself way in over my head, but I don't want to walk away from debt. I'm not that kind of person. What I want to do is pay it responsibly, restructure it so I can pay it. The judge says, all right, you're a responsible person. That's great. We're going to make sure that you get this. We're going to restructure it so you can afford to pay it. Tell us what your income is. Tell us how we're going to do it. Cool. Now, this BK13 could be 5 years before it's done, 3 years before it's done, whatever. But We have a payment. That payment started after I have 12 payments of you paying that on time. FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they say, you know what? You didn't walk away from your debt, and you've been paying that Chapter 13 responsibly. So I know you still got 3 years left in the Chapter 13. Even though you're not out of bankruptcy, we have a provision to allow you to finance right now while you're in bankruptcy because you dealt with it responsibly. So when you say Chapter 13 discharged, that discharge just goes away because that Chapter 13 means you dealt with it responsibly. And as long as you made those payments on time, we're good to go.
Those likes are flying in. Thank you, guys. That helps everybody.
I appreciate you, yeah.
Ash with some great news. Ash 1922. My credit was 505 February 2023. Now my credit is 641 as of 424.
Ash, in February 23, you couldn't get a house. Right now, you can get a house based on your credit. So, Ash, great job. That means you're responsibly taking care of your credit. Don't ignore your credit. Don't. If you're in your teens or 20s or 30s, usually by 40s and 50s, you kind of know it. But 20s and 30s, you don't know. You're like, what are you going to do? Chase me? Yeah, they'll chase you. What are you going to do? Catch me? T-Mobile, you going to find me? What are you going to do? Take me out of my mom's basement? No. No, they're not. They're going to stick you when it comes time to buy a house. And T-Mobile's going to go, hey, you didn't pay me back my $1,700. I'm not getting rid of that. And you're like, yeah, nah, I got away from you. And then the lender goes, hey, you didn't pay $1,700. They're like, yeah, they were evil and mean people, and they were sent from Satan to give me a $1,700 debt. You're like, whatever, I don't care. It's showing on your credit, and it's hurting you.
Las Vegas was fun, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Merari, what if you get approved for a $400,000 house, but the house you want is $600,000? Do you have to choose the $400,000 I'm approved?
So, Merari, the $400,000 is based off of your debt-to-income ratio and your assets and your loan-to-value. So that's your loan amount. Now, if you happen to have $200,000, then you can take the $400,000 loan amount, put $200,000 on top of it, and you buy that $600,000 house. That's a possibility. If not, then we have to attack it from different angles. And I'll give you an example. If you got approved for $400,000 on a FHA, no, let's just say Freddie Mac. I might be able to get you approved for $420,000, $450,000 on an FHA. Maybe. I might be able to get you $500,000 on a VA. Maybe. But it is debt to income ratio, and then another piece of it is loan to value.
Okay. Whoville Hater, to boost my income, can I income doing Uber or DoorDash for a year?
Whoville Hater. I love that name. Still love that name.
He
Still
does.
love
He
that
talks
name.
about
I
it.
do. I do. No.
Every day.
No. You can't. Not for 1 year. Now, if you did it for 2 years, and you did it for 2 years consistently, then yes, I can. But 1 year, the underwriters and the whole mortgage business knows, hey, somebody will get another job so they can qualify for more, so we don't allow that. The only way we can do it is if you've had your full-time job and your part-time job at the exact same time for the last 2 years. If you went from part-time to full-time, I get to give you the full-time. If you went from full-time to part-time, I have to give you the part-time. If you went full-time and added a part-time, well, that doesn't count until there's 2 full years consistent and concurrent recent. So
yeah, GRCA hopping in said you need 2 years minimum.
No, GRCA, probably a LO.
Ash hopping in 2 years. Either they're LOs or they're listening to the information we give, and I'm happy that they're learning it.
We're giving you some good stuff, man.
Yes.
We're giving you some good stuff.
Whoville Hater again. I have a main income, producing income, and a secondary that's not my main won't count. It's not my main won't count.
So it's a 2 year. So no matter what, you take 2 years, and you get whatever you have in line for 2 years. We can use that. So if you have a job for 2 years, and we get to use that. And then on that same timeline, if you have a job for 1 year, nope, then makes 2 years, can't use it. Well, if you had a part-time job and you went full-time job, but that whole thing is 2 years, I can use that. So it's not very difficult, but it sounds difficult.
Yeah. Ash helping out Elite Gods and Whoville Hater says 900 with interest, 7.5 rate. UNL, don't know what that means. No, it won't. So, okay, that's awesome.
Okay.
Hulu Hater, also, tell buyer that their escrow is only an estimate. Could be a big difference after a year.
Whoville Hater, that's a good one. That's a real good one. So here's what happens. So when we close a house, we do the best guess, and the loan does the best guess. The loan is absolute. The loan is absolute. The loan is, hey, you're borrowing $300,000 over 30 years. Here's the math. It's not pretty math. It's actually pretty ugly math for the borrower for the first 15 years because about 80% of it goes to paying interest, which is all the bank. It's not really principal reduction. But it's all in writing and it will not change. Here's what does change. They assessed your property value and they pulled the tax records from the county assessor. And the county assessor says, hey, your property tax rate is 1.25 and here's your yearly tax bill. And let's just say it's $4,000. Okay? But then 1 year later, they did an assessment and they said, hey, your wasn't really $4,000, it was $6,000. So you owe us $2,000. Then you will call your loan officer going, hey, you told me this was a 30-year fixed mortgage. This is bullshit. I don't understand why I owe $2,000 more. And then I have to go, hey, listen, this is unfortunate, but the county changed. Or what's happening in California, like real deal, we're getting this call probably once a week right now. Hey, I owe $3,000 extra. Where'd this come from? And I say, oh, it didn't come from the loan. I know that part. But let's find out where it did come from. Holy smokes, your insurance left the state of California. Wait, what? They left the state of California. They give you the mandatory 90-day required, hey, here's the heads up, we're leaving the state of California. New American Funding sends you multiple letters stating that, hey, if you don't bring in your own insurance, we'll put ours in. And ours is not the cheapest. Ours is just adequate. It works. We didn't shop it for rate. We didn't shop it for best price. We're going to put it in there because it's the requirement. Now, if you did nothing, then the system will take care of it. And you get a bill for $2,000. And you're like, hey, this is bullshit, blah, 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 blah. When I reverse engineer it, it's always going to be property taxes or homeowners insurance.
Yep.
And that happens more often than I wish it did.
Yep. Amanda Sierra 288. Do I need to have the down payment and money for closing before I apply for a loan, or can I work on getting the amount needed once I found out I'm approved? So, Amanda, you won't be approved, but your thought is good. And yes, the answer is yes. I call it mortgage planning, okay? So you're planning on getting a mortgage and you want to know what it takes. So I say, Amanda, based on your income, your debts, your credit score, you can get approved for a $500,000 loan, and here's how much you need to close. So it could be $20,000, $30,000, $100,000, whatever that number is, but at least you have a target now and you understand what it takes to get there. And in most cases when we do this, I get a phone call in the next couple of days going, hey, my mom's going to gift it to me. My dad's going to gift it to me. I can get it from my 401k. I talked to my husband. We're able to save enough money within a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. So, yes, that is a good strategy. I recommend it. Apply now. And if you're interested, go to the link in the bio. Click on Apply for a Home Loan Now and get the process started.
We're here for you guys. We're here.
Yeah, Connor, I need a Chris and Lee commercial for a badass loan officer.
Connor, we're going to do it for you. Ready?
Go!
If you need a badass loan officer, If you need a badass loan, call a badass loan officer. Connor, you threw me. You can reach your badass loan officers, Chris and Lee, at New American Funding by dialing numbers on the screen. But don't dial them right now because we will not answer. We are both on DND. That's Do Not Disturb on an Apple phone. And we cannot answer the phone call. However, once we are done with this live, we will turn it off DND and we will take phone calls. We are here to help you. That's it.
All right. Elite God. So if I have a 600 plus credit score with a few collections above 2,000, I can get an EPA with you guys?
Elite Gods. You are like skimming the bottom of the, if you're 600 FICO.
He's closing.
Yeah, if you're 600 FICO, you're like, hey, I'm going to crash land this plane. Will I walk away? Maybe, maybe. At just 600, you have problems. At 600, just 600, because there's going to be something there. But in theory, in a perfect world, yeah, we could.
Nice.
Yeah, in theory, in a perfect world. That's what we have to tell you, Elite Gods, but the only way we can know, pull your credit, calculate your income, and figure out your assets, and find out if we can get you a down payment assistance program.
All right, dude, show off a little bit.
All right,
Level
cool.
Up Mindset wants to know, do you guys do loans in Illinois?
Shoot, we do not only do them in Illinois, we do them all day, every day in Illinois. Wow, check this guy out, man. That's a pretty good form right there.
We fight in all 50
Dude,
states, bro.
all 50 states, all 50.
5-0.
We can do every state in the union. We can do Alaska. We can do Hawaii. We can do New York, Florida, Illinois, Chicago even. I know Chicago is in Illinois, but I like saying that anyway.
He likes
because it's
Chicago.
Chi-Town. Yeah, Chi-Town. Yeah, we
about
do.
Des Moines?
Des Moines?
Des Moines.
Des Moines? Des Moines? Dude, that's not in Illinois.
No, it's not. Do you do Des Moines?
Yes, we do.
All right. Hawaii?
I already said Hawaii.
Alaska?
I like saying Hawaii, though. Hawaii's fun.
Do you do all the islands in Hawaii?
All the islands in Hawaii.
Can you
All
name
the
them?
Islands? No.
Me either. Me
No.
either.
I know the Big Island. That's it. The Big
Oahu.
Island. And then Kauai. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that stuff.
Yeah, cool. What do we got? What else we got?
Well, here's what I want to do. I want to touch on some VA, man. I know there's a lot of vets out there that are looking to buy homes that didn't know that they even have the ability to use their VA loan. So I want you to share with us some specs about the VA loan, maybe some challenges that we've had that we've overcome, and maybe a success story.
So there's VA entitlement. Okay, I'm working a loan right now. Right now. Did I say right now? I said right now. Right now. Okay, I got somebody moving from this spot in, let's just call it Georgia, to this spot in Georgia. Now, it's a long way distance. So first thing is they already have a VA loan. All right, okay. So that might be a problem. But I pulled the VA usage because there is a usage issue. There's something called loan limits. And the VA will insure up to 25% of the county loan limit. So the first test inside of that is I have to go, okay, cool. How much did you use? And let's just say they use 140,000. Okay, 140,000, but the loan limit is 649,000. Well, if you do 649,000 and you reduce the loan limit that's being used for this $140,000 house, you still have about $450,000 house left that you can buy. What? Now, okay, so there's that part. This is called Tier 2 entitlements. A lot of people don't know this, Tier 2 entitlements. So, then the next thing is, do I have a viable reason? And sometimes the job moves you. Let's just say in this case, the job moved them. And they have no choice. The job moved them. So, the job moved them, and they can prove it. Hey, we're closing this factory. To keep the job, you must move to this new city 200 miles away. Then I send that to a VA underwriter, and I say, hey, they didn't want to do this. They have to do this. So there's lots of reasons you can do it. Job moved you, medical, something happened cataclysmically, like a hurricane or something like that. There's lots of reasons that can make this happen. But once that happens, and I can get an underwriter to sign off on, yes, this is a doable situation. Now I get to go, all right, I get to have a VA loan here and then another VA loan here. I'm literally working on it right now, and everything looks like we can make it work. Everything looks like we can make it work. So a lot of times they get, can you have 2 VA loans? The answer is yes, but not so straightforward. There's a lot of moving parts inside of that, and you really got to know the guidelines to make that stuff happen.
Yeah.
What else you got for me, man?
So when it comes to VA loans, does every vet out there qualify?
No!
What would disqualify someone from getting a VA loan?
Okay, so there's a few things that will disqualify you. One is a dishonorable discharge. Mm-hmm. If you have a dishonorable discharge, then you don't qualify. Just straight off the guidelines, you don't qualify. You don't qualify, boom, gone. Okay, here's another vet. A vet who went in and served a certain amount of time but didn't meet the criteria. Most of the time the criteria is 90 days active service without reserves, just 90 days active service, or 6 years in reserves of some sort, and it has to add up to a certain amount. So that will disqualify you. Then I have a friend of mine that I didn't know this, but I tried to do his VA loan, and I said, hey, let's pull your stuff. And I'm like, hey, you don't qualify. I said, what kind of discharge? He goes, I got other than honorable. I said, other than honorable, all right. Most of the time I can qualify in other than honorable unless there's a specific charge. He punched an officer. When you punch an officer, you kind of lost all of your benefits.
Wow.
So I have to tell my friend, dude, first, what are you thinking?
Well, did he deserve it?
And he's like, 20 years ago. He's like, dude, I lost my temper 20 years ago. I have to live with it forever. And I'm like, okay, can't get you a VA loan.
Did he talk about his mama?
I don't talk about it. I'm
right.
like, all right, cool.
Okay.
And he admits it. He's like, yeah, I was in the wrong. I was stupid. I was a hothead. I punched an officer. He said, you don't get a VA loan.
We got a little bit of badass in here. I'll give you one of those. All right, so when it comes to the VA loan, give me a success story, man. Share something with me that we've actually accomplished. Do the one where I went like this.
Okay. Well, we have this vet who called me up, and he's living with 4 guys. Him and 3 guys. So 4 of them total in an apartment. And they're old guys. They're old Vietnam vets. And he's like, hey, Lee, I saw your flyer. I figured I'd call you and see what happens. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see if we can get this thing going. I pull his credit, and his credit's not great. And I'm like, okay, cool. But he's 100% service-connected Purple Heart veteran from Vietnam. So I said, hey, listen, here's the catch. I'm going to see if I can do this. If you don't give up on me, I will not give up on you. That's the key. Awesome. If you don't give up on me, I won't give up on you. And so this guy, he's like, again, he's in a place. He's living with 3 other men. He's probably in his 60s at the time, probably in his 60s. But he's got 100% service connection, which means there's a lot of money coming in. And I'm able to gross it up. So the first thing I do is go, all right, cool, let's get your credit fixed. So through all this stuff, I'm able to get his credit fixed. It took 9 months to get his credit fixed. Cool. And then as we start to move forward, I'm like, hey, who's this Miss Jane Doe? And he's like, well, we used to be married a long time ago. All right, you used to be married. All right, cool. Did you get legally divorced? Well, we haven't seen each other in 10 years. I'm like, okay, cool. Did you get legally divorced? I don't remember. I don't talk to her anymore. Okay, this is kind of a big deal. So we find out he's not legally divorced. I'm like, okay, cool. You got to get legally divorced. All right. Got to get this thing fixed. He gets legally divorced. We're a year and a half into this thing. And then finally, he's qualified. And we go shopping.
More hoops that were in
yeah,
there
there's
too.
a lot more. There's
hoops.
a whole bunch of stuff. But I told him, you don't give up on me, I won't give up on you. And he didn't. And I'm not going to chase people. I don't chase anybody. If you want it, I say, hey, here's my stopping point. You're my stopping point. When you get that fixed, call me back. As long as you're calling me back, I'm working with you. I will help you through this process. So probably a year and a half later, we send him shopping. He gets into a house. Nice. At the time, it was probably Beaumont. Beautiful $350,000 house. For him, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1 man. I don't know why. But 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1 man. No kidding. And he's like, cool. And I'm like, yay, we fund a loan. We're like, hey, cool, we funded a loan. All right, cool. We fund loans all the time, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, one day, about on December 20th, he calls me up. And he calls me up a little bit emotional, kind of in his feelings. And I'm like, okay, all right. He's like, hey, I just want to tell you thank you for getting me this house. And I said, all right, that's my job. I'm here for you. I'm just surface, very surface level. And he goes, Lee, I want you to listen to me for a minute, but I don't want you to talk while I talk. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, by all means, say it. And he goes, listen, I was living with 3 other guys, you know that, and I have 2 kids, and they're grown kids. And they would come and see me occasionally for Christmas. They would come and see me occasionally, and when they did, they can't stay with me because I'm living with 3 other guys. So they would have to get a hotel, and we'd get together, and it's wonderful to see my kids. It's absolutely wonderful. I love my kids very much, like to see my kids. It was always a good experience. But this Christmas, they are coming to my house that I own, and they are staying in their own individual rooms. Lee, to you, it's just a house. But to me, you gave me back my dignity. And I don't get stuck for words.
Floored.
I don't get stuck for words. You guys listen to me. I can talk forever, ever in a day. And I'm sitting there going, and I'm like, I'm glad I can help. I don't know what to say. Because I want to go surface, but this is not a surface moment. And he goes, Lee, I just wanted to let you know that if you had given up on me like everybody else had, I wouldn't have this situation. My kids are going to stay in a room because of you. You gave me back my dignity. And I'm just like, whoa. Next day I came in, I told him, I'm like, dude, this one just rocked me, man. It changed the way I look at my job. It changed everything. Anyway, that's what can happen. If you don't give up on me, I don't give up on you. I don't care what your FICO score is. You can have a 450 FICO. I'll tell you my job. I don't care what the story is. I don't even want to hear the story. I do. You can tell it to me. Most people want to. Tell me the story. It's fine. I don't care. I want to fix it. I want to get your credit score up, and I want to get you the house. That's the most important part.
And I think that's the key, man. We should start saying that or branding it. Like, if you don't give up on us, we're not giving up on you. And we actually have people in this live right now with that same exact attitude that we had. So we didn't give up on them, and they're in houses today because of that.
Yeah.
We didn't give up on each other.
It didn't look good. I mean, a lot of our files are like, what's a hiccup? And then to an inexperienced loan officer who's never been in the battle, you don't realize that, oh, I just got a freaking, seems like a death blow. But it's not a death blow. It's just, we got to back up and say, all right, how else can we attack this? How else can we attack this? All right, here's what the underwriter says. How else can I do this? What can I change the way I look at things? Can I change this? Can I change that? And we just go back and forth and back and forth. It's like putting together this puzzle, and we're able to do it. And you're right, there's a few people on this live. I think there's 2 on this live right now that we've done that for, and we got them out. And it did not look pretty during the process, but at the end, boom.
Keys. Moving in. Peachy, Chapter 7 will be 2 years post-discharge in June. No collections, scores in the 600s, but I have 3 late payments. Can I still qualify to do an FHA loan?
Peachy. I got bad news for you. I got really bad news, but I'm also going to try and fix it. So here's the bad news. Once you said, hey, I'm done with this shit. System, take all my debts. I don't want to hear them no more. Your Honor, please take it all away. Okay, they're giving you a fresh start. Now, the underwriters really scrutinize. How did you use that second chance? When somebody gave you credit again, did you do it again? Because if you did, we know what's going to happen down the road. We know you're going to throw your arms up in the air. You're going to say, I can't do this anymore. Should have never got in this in Chapter 7. You can't Chapter 7 for, I think, 10 years after your first one. But you can do it again. And the underwriters know it.
Okay. A little bit more data. That late payments happened before I filed.
If they happened before you filed, now I can make a case for it. Because if they happened before you filed and that file stayed on your loan, that means you reaffirmed the loan, or it was not something that could not be dismissed in bankruptcy. Like student loans. Student loans cannot be dismissed in bankruptcy. There's certain things that cannot be dismissed. Student loans, child support, IRS, certain IRS debt can't be dismissed in bankruptcy. So, if that happened a long time ago, and I can show that after the bankruptcy, you're now doing very good, and you've reestablished
student loan with Navient,
then you're able to move forward, and yes, I was a student loan with Navient. Yeah, Navient, yeah. Even if you can prove to an undue hardship, that's really hard, Elizabeth. The undue hardship, it sounds like you're an underwriter, because that's a perfect terminology, undue hardship. Undue hardships are like, hey, a tornado came, or they closed down the Tesla plant, and I was a professional at building Teslas, and there's not another Tesla plant that I can get another one. So that's a weird situation, and it's case by case.
Yeah.
They're very rare, although everybody tries it. They're like, well, my husband left me. Yeah.
I got a divorce.
I got a divorce, yeah. My husband left me. That's an undue hardship. No, that doesn't count.
That being said, if it's a true undue hardship, we have closed those loans. We have closed them, and it was not easy. A lot of bumps, but it can be done.
Yeah.
She also said, no, I'm not.
I'm not an underwriter.
Just a wife whose husband has a lot of debt.
Yeah, that happened. You know what? Strange thing happens if you're in your situation. If your husband had a lot of debt and you actually got involved in it, you probably know the system pretty damn well, what you have to pay, what you don't have to pay. There's certain things that do not report on your credit, and if you miss those, nobody cares. Certain things that do report, you never want to miss those. There's certain ways to navigate our system, especially if you're trying to get a loan. And the truth is, it's very logical. I mean, if you really look at things, I tell everybody, everything's logical. And you may have a story, and your story may be heartbreaking. And it may be really, really, really tugging at the heartstrings and hurting. But the system doesn't care. They don't care. The system is logical. And they're like, well, I'm owed my first time home buyer program. No, you're not. Nobody owes you a program. Nobody. If you qualify for the program, that's because you led your life a correct way and you qualify for the program. But nobody owes it to you. Nobody owes it to you. I tell you're walking into a bank asking to borrow money. I get people who get mad at me. Hey, what business is it of theirs that what I did in the past. I have that a lot, actually. And you know what I say is like, hey, these people want to lend you $500,000 and you're asking them to. They don't owe it to you. You're asking them to. Is it unreasonable that they see what you've done in the past? And when I put these things together like that, people are like, yeah, I guess I should put it that way. You can not ask. That's fine. You can never be a homeowner. The system will not care. They will not care. The system just does. If you don't go to FHA and you don't ask for a loan, they don't care. If you don't go to Fannie or Freddie, you don't ask for, they don't care. They don't care. This is for you. So you're asking for a loan. And when you ask for a loan, they check your history. How did you pay back other people that lent you money? It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Sally Mae. Shoot, I haven't heard that in a while.
You want $2K a month when it's not possible. Elizabeth, this may be a saving grace. I know it doesn't work for everyone. But you're talking about your husband, his debt, and then there's you, okay? If you're both high earners, it takes a high earner in today's market. If you're both high earners, depending on the state that you're in, as long as it's not community property state, you can buy a house with an FHA loan and not include his debt. So that's very rare because you have to be in a non-community property state and you have to be a high earner. So if those two boxes check for you, you can buy a house, not going to affect you with his debt, and you can move forward and not have those problems.
Remember, we're here to help you with the guidelines. We're here to help you get a house in 2024. I see that we've got some loan officers on YouTube. We got some on TikTok, not on Facebook, and a few on Instagram. We appreciate you guys. If you're here to learn, by all means, sit back. We'll teach you some of the guidelines. We'll teach you how to get through this. If you're a loan officer actually succeeding in this market, respect. It's a very difficult market. Highest interest rates in 22 years. 22. It will get better. For all you LOs, I see multiple of you on right now. For all you LOs, rates are going to go down. They are going to go down. This is the FOMC chart of when they are going to go down. Right now they're at 5.25, 5.5. You guys know that. They anticipate they are going to go to 2.5% by the end of 2026, beginning of 2027. And who says that? Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, says that. But it's not just him. It's him and the FOMC, Fair Open Markets Committee, or the Federal Reserve. These guys are the smartest minds in finance in the world. They're going to be pretty close to right. They're going to be pretty close to right, but they're going to be right like an airline pilot is. The airline pilot on the way to the destination is not on perfect path every step. In fact, he's off 100 miles one way, 100 miles the other way, 100 miles in one way, 100 miles another way. But when you take off in New York and you land in Los Angeles, you hit the airport. Why? Even though it was off a lot of times. Because here's what I'm going to get. People are going to say, well, the Fed said he was going to decrease interest rates 3 times in the calendar year 2024. He did say that. It's in the FOMC meeting notes. We're still not past that time. Now, there's been a lot of speculation. It should have happened in March and April and May. It's not. I don't even think it's going to happen in June. I actually think the first cut isn't going to be happen until September. But there are still 3 more meetings beyond that. And I do believe these guys know what they're talking about. Now, bear in mind, there are 12 members of the FOMC, and all of them are a consensus right now, 5.25 to 5.5. Next rate, some of them think it should be higher. Some of them think it should be lower. But they come back to a consensus at about calendar year 2026, end of 26, beginning of 27. What that means for us real estate agents, loan officers, escrow, title, anybody in the business, homeowner, what's that? Home policy sellers, what are those guys? Anyway, for all of us in the business, there's going to be a lot of business. It's not going to happen in a while. And a lot of people have starved out. It's very sad, but a lot of people have starved out. I know loan officers used to make $1 million a year. They're selling solar today. Why? Because they weren't ready to play the long game. Play the long game. So for those of you still surviving, much respect, much respect. For those of you customers, we will teach you how to get the best loan out there, how to qualify. And there are ways to make things like kind of game the system. We'll teach you how to game the system. Anyway, what do you got?
Elizabeth, 95K a year, but they count 0.5% of his loans. It sounds like you're in a community property state. What state are you in, Elizabeth? Let me know. Because if you already know that and have already checked these boxes, I'm sure your loan officer did his due diligence, but let's double check. What state are you in?
And there's something else that you can do that I would like for you to look into.
Texas. Yep, community property.
Yeah. So there's a company, group, entity called Melnet. Melnet consolidates student loans, and then they put it on a payment that consolidates all the loans together and gives you a reasonable payment. So Nelnet there's a few other services out there that do that, but that is something that you can look into. Sally Mae, I haven't heard Sally Mae in a while, but if you do have student loans cannot be dismissed in bankruptcy. But let me give you one more piece, Elizabeth, and this might be very important for you. Might be very important. There was just a law passed. No, it's not a law. I gotta say that wrong. It is a presidential action. And the presidential action forgave a lot of student loan. A lot of student loans, a lot of them. But there's a criteria. And the criteria is you must have been paying on those loans for the last 10 in some cases, 20 in other cases, years. So if you've been paying on those loans, then you may fall into this category where it's just forgiven, dismissed. Billions of dollars got dismissed. The reason is that the student loan business, they weren't doing a fully amortized situation, and they set up loans where people would just pay forever. For the rest of their life, they could not pay it off. And they went through Congress. It fought back and forth. Congress tried to pass it. It wouldn't pass. They got stopped at the Senate. A whole bunch of different things happened. And then finally, President Biden says, I've got the power of the pen, and he did it. Now, he made a lot of people very pissed off when he did it, but that's the power of voting. He's got that power. So whether you're a fan of his, you're not a fan of his, this happened, and it may be a situation where you qualify.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys 2 pieces of advice that aren't so easily taken by most. Here's the first one. Move to Florida. Florida's badasser.
Hey, he's got a good idea, Elizabeth.
Florida's
Just pack
badasser.
up and move.
Or Hawaii. Hawaii's badasser.
Badasser? Is that a word?
Badasser, man.
All right, cool.
Or don't get married. Don't get married. If you don't get married, you don't have these challenges, guys. You don't have these
Damn,
challenges.
so you're saying get divorced?
I didn't say get
Okay,
divorced.
all right, okay.
Don't get married.
Don't get married? Oh my
If you
God.
choose to do that and move, then that's on you. I mean, I'm not going to give that advice. But don't get married. It's silly.
Yes.
Elizabeth also says, yeah, we don't qualify. They have been deferred. Okay, so they're deferred, still getting hit with 0.5%. What he was saying is get into an income-driven program, but you're deferred. Since he's in school for a nurse practitioner, so still in school.
Yeah,
Probably
okay, cool.
accumulating more debt, too.
There's a lot of ways to handle problems in the loan business. Like I told you, this one, I'm doing a VA loan right now where a borrower has a house already that's VA. But he can't help it. He's got to move, and he's going to another spot. Now, most loan officers will tell you can't have 2 VA loans, and that's true for the most part. But there is an occasion where you can't have 2. And then Tier 2 entitlement, 2-tier loan benefits kick in. And if you understand 2-tier loan benefits, in this situation, we're able to make it work. Your loan officer, very important. It's who you use counts. Who you use counts.
Oh, you ready to hit it, man?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We appreciate you guys. We've been Chris and Lee. We are out.